Hi, my name is Geneva, like the convention. I'm an illustrator, painter, and tattooer. I wanted to bring you with me as I design a flash drop, or in some forms, what is more widely known as a flash sheet. In this video, I'm going to discuss where I find inspiration for my tattoo designs and help you look around your own life for inspiration for yours, I hope. I think you typically see flash design on YouTube done traditionally, which is entirely wonderful and something I love to watch and learn from too. But the way I work is a little different from that. Again, I think referencing the history and traditions of North American tattooing is incredible and super important work. I deeply respect that craft and its roots. I have many traditional tattoos and I plan to get more in the future, but I just don't do them myself. I get my inspiration for drawings in an aggressively analog way, but I also prefer to draw tattoos digitally. However, this video is nearly entirely about finding the inspiration behind what you draw, not how to draw. So if you draw traditionally, you're still in the right place. If you're a tattoo artist, an aspiring tattoo artist, or any kind of artist in general, welcome and grateful for you here, and I hope that sharing my process inspires you. I spend about half my time tattooing and the other half as an illustrator. Tattooing is by far the most intense form of artwork I've ever participated in, and being able to do it is nothing short of an honor in my mind. So if you're here because you and I have made a tattoo together, thank you so much for being here. Your stories, your experiences, and sharing those with me are what make this job so special. When designing flash, I like to think of it as searching for an invitation. A quote I heard from another tattoo artist I love, Emma Jackson, is that the first thing you learn in tattooing is that nothing you make is yours. Designing flash is creating things for people you don't know yet, images they want to carry with them for reasons you may not understand. Something other artists and I like to call tattoo magic. It's this idea that there's a specific, inexplicable connection between the artist, the design, and the person getting the tattoo. Following this magic is how and why I draw what I draw. When thinking about things I would like to draw for flash, I follow wherever inspiration comes from because I know I'm sensing that inspiration because somebody out there needs me to. Once I've followed the invitation of inspiration, drawn it, offered it, its rightful owner always appears one way or another. The stories people tell me about why they were drawn to that particular image or why that particular animal or plant has some kind of significance in their lives truly never ceases to blow my mind. And the right person always gets the tattoo. Finding and translating inspiration into a drawing is partly something I know I do on my own accord, but I also know the other half of it is an inspiration from somewhere in the ether, from the person to who it'll eventually belong. I'm well aware that this explanation might sound utterly crazy to many people, but thinking about designing tattoos this way has only proven to work wonders over and over and over again. And this is part of why I wanted to make YouTube videos. Condensing what I just said into a short video or caption just hasn't felt right, so if you're here watching now, thank you so much. So let's get into how I find and follow inspiration or search for those invitations. Generally, I find most inspiration from biology and nature. I'm just super fascinated by the histories and interactions within different ecosystems around me, especially where I live. Many people have this false idea that native grasslands are monotonous or boring, when anybody paying close attention can tell you this is so far from the truth. I make about 5 flash drops a year. Typically, they each have an overarching theme of some sort. Unearthing that theme usually happens after I have started a few drawings. I look at them all and see whatever thread ties them all together. Usually the theme centers around what plants or animals were doing throughout the previous season that, for whatever reason, caught my attention. As I mentioned before, it's essential to follow the trails that those sparks of inspiration call to me, because I know what they truly are, something that needs to be investigated for somebody else. Sometimes the theme is also about conserving a specific ecosystem. I'll investigate key animals in that particular system and then branch out from there. I always keep a notebook on me and have an ongoing list of flash ideas. I always leave the house with a notebook because sometimes ideas fly at me whenever I least expect them. But usually I make an effort to find inspiration outside. This summer I spent a lot of time working at a horse boarding barn, and usually every day I was there, I would take the opportunity to walk through the largest back pasture full of native grass, deciduous trees, and ponds before or after work, and just pay attention to the plants and animals around me. And after a while, things will start to happen, and I can ask myself, who is interacting with one another? What sounds am I hearing? Have the plants changed from the last time I was here? And this process kind of feels like going fishing. Some days you're so excited to go out that you hope you find something that sparks an image in your mind and you catch 2 or 3 big ideas. But also some days, even if the conditions are perfect and you arrive completely prepared, you just don't catch anything. And sometimes you just have to accept the fish aren't biting that day. What's important is that you return, maybe alter your bait, acknowledge and accept this feeling. It just means something needs to change, which might be something as simple as the day. Like fishing, the most essential ingredient to finding inspiration, I find, is patience. And patience is really not something I'm very good at, but frustratingly, it always works. After a week of feeling incredibly blocked and an hour of sitting in a patch of long grass, mostly hearing trucks in the distance and generally feeling just totally miserable about the state of things, I decided to force myself to sit there for another 20 minutes, and then I could give up and go home for the day. Then I felt this sudden weird rush of air against my face, and I heard a sound I couldn't identify at all. A red-tailed hawk had dove from the sky and caught a gopher literally right in front of me. It was honestly so shocking that my brain couldn't even understand what was happening. Up close, she was so large, and I thought maybe she was like a muskrat or a cat or something. Sometimes when I'm searching for plants or animals to draw, it can be easy to neglect the more common ones. No hate at all to gophers whatsoever, but they aren't typically something I would think to draw. But what happened here is that I was forced to think about how the world might look from the perspective of the gopher, perhaps unable to see the hawk, but needing to be vigilant at all times for her shadow passing overhead. While my themes are usually centered around wild animals, spending time with more domesticated animals made me curious about their individual personalities, cycles, especially how they have adapted to their environments. And this summer, working at the barn exposed me to larger domesticated animals, some of which I have never had the chance to truly get to know, at least for long periods of time. Their inherent personalities and adaptations for their lives, likely very far away from their natural habitats, is so fascinating and strange. For instance, horses, which I think we societally think of as large, powerful creatures, graceful and forceful, brave, still are prey animals at the end of the day, looking to each other for safety and protection, but also, if we are good and kind towards us, as a strange part of their herd. I wanted to draw horses, a few of them looking beautiful and kind, but also with a hint of that knowing, constant anxiety that can be found behind their eyes, that thing that comes equipped at birth in the nature of things as a prey animal. And I know that people who have spent a lot of time with horses are likely already aware of this or have sensed it. Maybe these tattoos will find homes with somebody like that. I love predatory animals and have included a few here, but I think I'm more drawn to prey animals because they are so powerful in their own ways that they are often overlooked. We revere predators because we should. They're strong and robust and adaptive and fast. Still, prey animals endure while being alert at all times. They have eyes on the sides of their heads to see predators coming from a wider angle and big ears for listening for danger from far away. They rarely get a moment without having to be vigilant about what might be approaching around them. They have strong muscles that allow them to run away fast or fight back. Being a prey animal requires considerable resilience and resolve. And I think the people that choose these for tattoos, whether conscious or not, want to carry some of that resilience with them. So I always make sure I draw a few. I have the hair tattoo on my hand for many of these reasons. Unfortunately, the best compliment I've ever received about my drawings came from somebody I can't for the life of me remember. And they said they like the eyes of the animals I draw because they know something we don't. So if that was you and you're watching this, I hope you know that I think about that every single time that I draw. People who love cows tend to really love cows, and then I think most people don't really think about them at all. Generally, there's a lot of polarity about cows. However, this is my favorite cow in the entire world. Her name is Millie, or Mildred, and this is my extremely close second favorite cow in the world. Her name is Carol. Cows are big and dangerous and can hurt you if you're not careful, but at the same time, they can be so kind and gentle. What shocks me so much is how often they love to play. But I wanted to draw some cows in that hidden, playful state that I think most of us don't get to see. So I hope one person with a special place in their heart for cows finds these tattoos. As a self-admitted huge bird nerd, I think chickens are some of the only birds that tend to enact this primordial wariness in me. Perhaps they remind me too much of their dinosaur ancestors. I honestly avoid drawing them because of all the complicated birds in the world. I find their feather patterns so challenging to organize and translate into simple tattooable line work. They're so puffy. Of all the tattoos I designed for this drop, this one was one of the longest to draw. I wanted to draw a proud hen in its natural state on something resembling a tree branch, as it would be in the wild. Sometimes when I'm unsure what kind of plant to pair with an animal, I'll check a book to see if I can find anything local to me that would make sense in the context of that animal, like something they eat, or something they build a nest with, or a plant that's really important to their livelihood, etc. Here I found chickweed, which I stopped on for the correlating name alone, but I found out that chickens love to snack on chickweed. However, some chicken enthusiasts think it's too high in nitrate for them to consume regularly, but I'm absolutely not the authority on the subject at all, so some of my slight fear of chickens has translated into the overall tone of this flash design, and I can't wait to find out why the person who will be its home wanted it in the first place. Once I finish drawing all the flash, I usually organize them into a preview for my clients to see. I usually only show a portion of the untattooed drawings themselves to avoid people screenshotting them and stealing them. This way, interested clients can get an idea of whether this flash drop's theme may interest them and make sure they tune into the release date. I didn't film that part because it's dull and you've had enough time watching me poke around on an iPad. But on the day I set to release the flash, I put the full designs up for a short period of time for people to review until they are sold, and then I take them back down again. I'm excited to share all kinds of art making here, and every once in a while what goes on behind making a flash drop. It's my favorite thing to do, and documenting it all here, bringing you with me, makes it even more special. I'm curious about where you find your inspiration, how you capture it, and how you design tattoos or illustrations, why you design tattoos or illustrations, and I really hope some of you are from wildly different cultures and environments from me, and thinking about how those differences translate into what you make is so cool to think about. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!